Good evening. Thanks for joining us on Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The sensex and the Nifty move closer to record highs. After gaining 1% in trade, the Nifty bank hits a record high. All sectoral indices close in the green. The semiconductor war heats up between Google and Nvidia. Jensen Huang says Nvidia's chips are a generation ahead of Google. This comes after Meta, a major client of Nvidia, considers buying AI chips from Google. India is all set to become a $4 trillion economy this financial year, but economists expect a 2-year delay to hit the $5 trillion mark, citing lower inflation and a weaker rupee. The Union Cabinet is likely to approve a production-linked incentive scheme for rare earth magnets worth 7,300 crore rupees. Sources say the scheme is likely to continue for 7 years. That's a CNBC Awaaz exclusive. Prime Minister Modi flags the French major Safran's aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in Hyderabad with initial outlay of 1,300 crore rupees. The MRO center is Safran's largest aircraft engine MRO facility in the world. It could employ over 1,000 technicians and engineers once it becomes fully operational by 2035. A phone transcript released by Bloomberg reveals that Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy to the Middle East, advised a senior Kremlin official on how to pitch the Ukraine peace plan to the U.S. president. Russian official has hinted that the phone call was authentic. Trump calls Witkoff's reported approach a standard negotiating procedure. Jakarta topples Tokyo as the world's most populated city with nearly 4.2 crore people, according to a UN report. Dhaka takes second place as Tokyo moves to number 3. New Delhi and Kolkata are the only Indian cities in the top 10. South Africa thrash India by 408 runs in the Guwahati Test to sweep the series 2-0. This is India's biggest defeat in Test history. Well, we'll get to that Test match debacle in just a second, but let's start with the day's market action. No debacle there. In fact, big moves across the Lal Street with all-round gains coming in today. The Sensex and the Nifty ending near record highs. So that's the picture for the Nifty, up 320 points. 26,205 is where it closed for the day. The Sensex up over 1,000 points today. That's a gain of over 1%. The Nifty bank at a new record high, 700-point gain there. And the mid-cap index also adding about 700 points. So broader markets also seeing major moves today. All frontline indices closing with gains of more than 1%. 45 Nifty stocks closed in the green, with 5 stocks ending at 52-week highs. Prashant standing by now to wrap up the day's market action. Very strong close. Prashant, what triggered this rally?
A good day, and the market basically back within kissing distance of a new all-time high for the Nifty. Now, you'd wonder why, right? Was there a big trigger? There wasn't any. Maybe after the expiry yesterday, lighter positioning in the market, perhaps one. Obvious thing that one can think of, expectation that perhaps this Russia-Ukraine war, which has dragged on for over 3 years, perhaps is now closer to ending than any point we've seen in the recent past. And of course, global markets which have bounced for 3 days in a row. I think it was a combination of things. But as you can see, and I'll read out the stocks, it's not as if it was the large, liquid, well-known names which were all jumping up and about. It was the lesser-known kind of names in the broader market, especially the mid and small caps. I'll get to those names in just a bit. The Nifty up on your screen, the Nifty bank doing pretty well, ending at the day's high. Mid-cap index, small-cap indices also bouncing quite nicely. Metals as a space did well, steel in particular. Of course, after our steel secretary interview, and you also had the capital market space, which bounced a little bit. Now, I'll start with the large caps, right? Nifty. JSW Steel was the biggest Nifty gainer. HDFC Life, the Bajaj Twins, Finserv and Finance, and Jio Finance also did well. Downside, Bharti, there was that big block which sort of went through successfully. Adani Enterprises, of course, under some pressure. Now, broader gains, broader markets, and advanced decline, of course, clearly with what was up. But just look at the names, right? Natco was the biggest volume-led gainer. Tata Investment Corporation, Carborundum Universal, GMDC on the back of the story at CNBC that on rare earth and the scheme which the cabinet is taking up. Fino Payment Bank was up from the word go. SMS Pharma, Reliance Power, PG Electroplast, Igarshi Motors, Tourism Finance Corporation, JK Siemens, Black Box, and Goldium International, the lab-grown diamond company. On the way down, Capillary, which has had such a large move in 4 days since listing, lost CPC, that is Chennai Petro. Diesel margins have been very high, and they'll probably fall if as conflict looks like it's nearing an end between Russia and Ukraine. Orient Electric, again, big gains recently, some profit booking. MRPL on the lines of CPCL, HDFC AMC, Mahindra & Mahindra Finance and Stylum were some of the other stocks which came under selling pressure. So, very, very close, at least at the index level, to a new all-time high as we ended today's session. Back to you.
All right. Many thanks, Prashant, for joining us. In fact, the Union Cabinet briefing is currently underway. Ashwini Vaishnav, the Minister, is speaking about the decisions that the Cabinet has approved, including one that we broke right here on CNBC-TV18, a 7,300 crore rupee incentive scheme for rare earth magnets. Listen in.
इस पे करीब 7,280 करोड़ रुपए का इन्वेस्टमेंट होएगा. 7,280 crore rupees will be invested, and the focus will be on the entire value chain. It will be an integrated manufacturing facility. और केवल एक नहीं, up to 5 units will be established. Up to 5 units will be established, each one having 1,200 metric tons per annum capacity. देश की रिक्वायरमेंट करीब करीब 4,000 से 5,000 मेट्रिक टन की देश की अभी रिक्वायरमेंट है, और ये रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ती जा रही है. जैसे जैसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ रही है, जैसे जैसे मेडिकल डिवाइसेस की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ रही है, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ रही है, वैसे वैसे देश में परमानेंट मैग्नेट की इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ती जा रही है, डिमांड बढ़ती जा रही है, रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ती जा रही है. तो टोटल 6,000 मेट्रिक टन्स पर एनम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी डेवलप करेंगे इन 5 यूनिट्स. तो विद इन नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 years दीज प्लांट्स विल बी सेटअप, और इन प्लांट्स में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट हो जाएगा. एंड दिस विल बी अ मेजर स्ट्रैटेजिक विन फॉर द कंट्री, बिकॉज परमानेंट मैग्नेट और सेमीकंडक्टर चिप्स, इन दो के बिना आज कोई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रैक्टिकली नहीं हो सकती है. इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पहले सेमीकंडक्टर चिप्स, फिर क्रिटिकल मिनरल मिशन, और आज परमानेंट मैग्नेट की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का ये प्रोग्राम, ये स्कीम लॉन्च की है. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. इसके बारे में और डिटेल आपको मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हैवी इंडस्ट्रीज से डिटेल मिलेंगे, लेकिन करीब करीब सारे पॉइंट्स आपके इसमें आ गए. हैं उनको बहुत बेनिफिट होगा. जो इंडस्ट्रीज परमानेंट मैग्नेट का यूज करके आगे की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करती है, जैसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है, तो उसमें इसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा. इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स, बैटरी व्हीकल्स, उसमें इसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा. मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट, उनको बेनिफिट मिलेगा. हमारे डिफेंस से रिलेटेड जितनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है, उसमें इसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा. लंबे टाइम से एक बहुत बड़ी ये रिक्वायरमेंट थी देश की, जिसको आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कैबिनेट में अप्रूव किया है. ये बहुत बड़ा फैसला है और बहुत ही स्ट्रैटेजिक डिसीजन है ये, और इस डिसीजन से देश के लिए एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एक रोड मैप तैयार होगा. मैं आता हूं अगले डिसीजन पे आज के. पुणे, वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट सिटीज इन द कंट्री नाउ, अमंग द टॉप 10 सिटीज, पुणे 80 लाख से ज्यादा इसका पॉपुलेशन है. जैसा आपने देखा पिछली कई कैबिनेट ब्रीफिंग्स में, आपने देखा 1 by 1 पुणे के मेट्रो नेटवर्क को स्ट्रेंथन करने का, एक्सपैंड करने का लगातार डिसीजन लिया जा रहा है. आज बहुत बड़ा फैसला लिया गया इस एनिमेटेड, इसमें आप देखेंगे ये एग्जिस्टिंग दोनों लाइंस हैं जो कि नॉर्थ साउथ और ईस्ट वेस्ट को कवर करती है. ये दोनों ऑपरेशनल लाइंस हैं. और जो येलो में आ रही है, ये सारी अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन लाइंस हैं. इनका कंस्ट्रक्शन अभी चल रहा है. ये इसके डिटेल्स आ गए. ये लाइन मेगापोलिस से लेके सेंटर तक जाती है, चांदनी चौक से वनस तक जाती है, और कटराज से लेके स्वारगेट तक जाती है, और इधर रामवाड़ी से विठलवाड़ी तक जाती है, और ऊपर निगदी से पीसीएम से.
Well, that's Minister Ashwini Vaishnav on the decisions taken by the Union Cabinet. A CNBC-TV18 News break now confirmed 7,280 crore rupee investment scheme to manufacture permanent rare earth magnets in the country. Our colleague Abhimanyu Sharma joins us now. Take us through the contours of that scheme that the Cabinet has cleared, Abhi.
Well, the scheme aims to promote domestic manufacturing of rare earth magnets, which are extensively used in several components across several industries, on which there is a certain degree of dependence on imports, which the government wants to mitigate. And there have been supply chain concerns which have been witnessed in the past 1.5 years with respect to availability of rare earths and also rare earth magnets. So that has been a constant demand from the domestic industry as far as overall availability is concerned. Now, speaking about the overall production of rare earths per se, and not just magnets, there have been several schemes which have been initiated by the union government, particularly the National Critical Minerals Mission, in which the government has also started resorting to through trawling of all tailings of minerals, of all mineral deposits and even waste for that matter, to ensure that none of these minerals are wasted and these rare earths are mined and refined to the best possible extent. However, availability of technology continues to remain a concern, which this PLI scheme intends to mitigate, and it intends to incentivize several companies to get into manufacturing of rare earth magnets, which will possibly also involve MOUs and several tie-ups with foreign players. India is also in touch with several other countries as far as ensuring ample availability as well as refining of rare earths and rare earth magnets is concerned. So overall, the PLI scheme aims to incentivize the production of rare earth magnets, which is possibly going to ensure ample availability for several sunrise sectors which are extensively using these rare earths.
All right, Abhimanyu, many thanks for joining us. That's the big decision that's been cleared by the cabinet. But let's talk about the action in the commodity space. Gold prices rising for the second day in a row, closing in on a 2-week high. This after U.S. economic data boosted expectations of a Fed rate cut in December. Safe haven demand also rose, and lingering tensions between Japan and China adding uncertainty. Of course, the Russia-Ukraine truce is still awaited. India is all set to become a $4 trillion economy this financial year. 4 eminent economists tell CNBC-TV18 that the $4 trillion goal can be achieved even if nominal GDP grows at a slower pace of 8%. Growth in the current fiscal, that is. However, they also believe that India's ambition of becoming a $5 trillion economy could be delayed by 2 years because of lower inflation and a weaker currency. So India is likely to achieve that milestone in FY29 instead of FY27. Now, shares of Bharti Airtel declining over 1% in trade on the back of a large trade deal. As many as 3.5 crore shares, amounting to 7,400 crore rupees, sold at 2,108 rupees a share. The buyer and the seller of the deal have not been disclosed yet, so a big block there for Bharti Airtel. Shares of IIFL Finance gained after the company's board approved a public issue of non-convertible debentures of up to 2,000 crore rupees. The issue will be launched in 1 or more tranches and will also include a green shoe option. This will allow the company to raise the size of the issue if the investor interest is higher than what is expected. Packaging company AGI Greenpack is likely to raise up to 800 crore rupees through a qualified institutional placement in December. Sources say the fundraise is likely to include a base size of 500 crore rupees with an option to add another 300 crore rupees. The funds will be used for a new beer bottle manufacturing plant in Madhya Pradesh. Shriram Finance Executive Vice Chairman Umesh Revankar has brushed aside reports of a possible capital infusion. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, he said the company does not need fresh money for its growth plans. He added that though foreign investor interest remains high, capital discussions do not imply a need for funding.
We are at 20% plus on CRAR, so we don't really need capital for the growth. Whatever for the growth required for next couple of years, we have sufficient capital.
Shriram Finance is in discussions for potential equity fundraise, but nothing concrete as of now.
So as I was telling you, we have been talking for a long time, not now.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you think a deal you're reaching, I mean, there's progress with regard to these conversations?
Nothing to comment right now.
Well, the speculation continues. Nothing to comment right now, says Umesh Revankar. Electronic giant HP has announced that it plans to reduce its headcount by at least 4,000 to 6,000 employees. This equates to around 10% of the company's global workforce. HP says the layoffs are part of its long-term restructuring plan. These cuts come after HP reported weak guidance for the fiscal year. Prime Minister Modi flagged off French major Safran's aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in Hyderabad with an initial investment of over 1,300 crores. Now, the MRO centre is Safran's largest aircraft engine MRO facility anywhere in the world. It could employ over 1,000 technicians and engineers once it becomes fully operational by 2035. Madhya Mujawar gets us a sneak peek into Safran's new Hyderabad MRO.
We are in Hyderabad at the GMR Aero City, and what you see behind me is a brand new aircraft engine maintenance facility by French engine manufacturer Safran. It's their biggest ever engine maintenance facility anywhere in the world. It is also the first time that an OEM, an engine manufacturer, is setting up a maintenance facility in India. The facility got inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi a short while ago.
आज से भारत का एविएशन सेक्टर एक नई उड़ान भरने जा रहा है। साफरान की नई फैसिलिटी भारत को एक ग्लोबल एमआरओ हब के रूप में स्थापित करने में मदद करेगी। ये एमआरओ फैसिलिटी हाईटेक एरोस्पेस की दुनिया में युवाओं के लिए नए अवसर भी बनाएगी।
You have seen that India has grown tremendously in civil aviation with a growth rate of more than 10% over the last 11 years. Especially the growth has come in the number of airports we have opened, in the number of passengers, the air travel passengers that we have, and also the number of aircrafts. But then we wanted to dig deeper into the aviation sector, and we want to become the global aviation hub for aviation in the world. So for that, we wanted to expand the MRO network in the country.
Over 500 aircraft in India are powered by Safran CFM or LEAP engines. The engine that you see next to me is the LEAP engine, and there are Indian airlines, including Indigo and Air India, have ordered more than 2,000 engines from Safran. Right now, there is no capability in India to service engines, to maintain engines, so Indian airlines have to send the engines overseas. And when Safran, the OEM, the engine manufacturer, sets up shop in India, it becomes easier not only for the OEM to provide maintenance services, but also for airlines.
India is so fastest growing country, so important. It was making sense, a lot of sense for us to accompany our Indian airline customer by setting up a maintenance, repair and overhaul center here in India.
It is not just the commercial aircraft maintenance facility that Safran inaugurated today. What you see here is the Rafale M88 engine that Safran makes for Rafale, and they today laid the foundation stone to make a maintenance facility to also provide maintenance services for M88 engine. So even these engines in the next few years will get the maintenance services right here in Hyderabad. And the capacity that Safran is talking about is 300 engines per year, and they will not just cater to Indian airlines but also global airlines. So that takes this closer to India's dream of becoming a global MRO
Well, that
hub.
is a big development for the Indian aviation sector. Safran setting up an engine MRO in Hyderabad, the largest MRO facility for the company anywhere in the world. Madhya Mujawar reporting there. We will head into a break, but up next, the semiconductor war heats up between Google and Nvidia this time. A special report when we return. Well, the big global story, US President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff reportedly told a senior Kremlin official how to pitch the Ukraine peace plan to the US president in a phone call in October. Bloomberg released a transcript of the phone call which reveals that Witkoff suggested that Putin could congratulate Trump for the Gaza agreement and propose a Ukraine peace deal along similar lines. He also advised scheduling a Trump-Putin telephone conversation before Zelensky's White House visit later that week. President Trump described Witkoff's reported approach as standard negotiating procedure, while the Russian official did not deny the authenticity of the transcript, telling Russian state TV that the leak was an attempt to hinder the talks. Both Trump and Russia have confirmed that Witkoff will meet President Putin in Moscow next week. Now, the semiconductor war between Nvidia and Google is heating up. Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang has said that Nvidia's chips are a generation ahead of the industry. This post came after Nvidia's shares fell 3% after reports suggested that Meta, a major client of Nvidia, is considering buying AI chips from Google. The market capitalization of Google's parent Alphabet is racing towards the $4 trillion mark, and a big part of the story is its expansion into AI hardware. Rachna joins us now with more. Rachna, tell us about Google's hardware ambitions and how it could impact Nvidia.
Well, global attention in the AI race has now shifted sharply towards infrastructure and hardware. And for years, Nvidia has been the uncontested leader. But the landscape is beginning to change. Google is widening its AI ambitions beyond software and into the hardware layer. Alphabet has started offering its in-house TPUs to external customers through Google Cloud. Now, TPUs are custom-built AI accelerators designed specifically for training and running large AI models. These are unlike Nvidia's more general-purpose GPUs, and that push has been accelerating. Anthropic has already reserved up to 1 million TPUs for 2026, and Meta is in advanced discussions on a multi-billion-dollar arrangement that would see it rent Google's cloud chips next year and install Google accelerators inside its own data centers from 2027. Those moves position Alphabet as a credible alternative to Nvidia in high-end AI infrastructure. The market reaction has been swift. Alphabet shares are up nearly 70% this year, taking the company close to a $4 trillion valuation. At the same time, Google has been building independence across the rest of the AI stack. The Gemini family now runs across Search, Android, Workspace, and Cloud. DeepMind continues to advance frontier research with systems like AlphaFold 3 and the RT series robotics models. And Google is training its largest models on its own compute platform inside AI-first data centers it designs and operates. From Nvidia's side, the response has been to highlight its lead. Jensen Huang maintains Nvidia's GPUs remain a generation ahead and continues to emphasize the breadth and maturity of his platform. But the fact that Google's chips are attracting serious interest and that major rivals are preparing multi-year commitments points to a widening hardware market. So taken together, Google's custom chips, its homegrown frontier models, and its vertically integrated infrastructure explain why investors now see Alphabet as one of the most comprehensive AI platforms globally. And why is it moving within the reach of the $4 trillion milestone? Back to you.
Rachna, many thanks. Now, Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, has dislodged Japan's Tokyo as the world's most populated city. The UN has released a report on megacities across the world to take stock of the progress in urbanization. Jakarta is on top with a population of over 4 crore people. Dhaka at number 2 with a population of 3.6 crore. Tokyo, number 3 on the list. New Delhi comes in at number 4 with a population of 3 crore. Shanghai and Guangzhou in China take the 5th and the 6th spot. More than 33% of the most populated cities are in China and 17% in India. Egypt's capital, Cairo, is the only non-Asian city in the top 10. Manila, the capital of Philippines, along with Kolkata and South Korea's capital, Seoul, complete the top 10. The other Indian cities in the list include Mumbai at number 12, Bengaluru at number 24, and Chennai at number 29. These are the only cities in India with a population of more than 1 crore people. The report also highlights how the world is becoming increasingly urban. 45% of the world's population of 8.2 billion now live in cities. For comparison, only 20% of the world's population lived in cities in the 1950s. And urbanization is expected to rise, with 66% of the global population estimated to live in cities by 2050. Dhaka is also projected to overtake Jakarta as the world's most populous city by 2050. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned. We're back in a minute with more.